All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's program. My name is Pat Kane, Public Programs and Visitor Services Coordinator, coordinating cultural and historical programs at the Museum of the Grand Prairie and throughout the Champaign County Forest Preserve District. And I want to thank you so much for joining us for tonight's program titled Light Pollution, How It Affects You and What You Can Do About It. I also want to especially thank tonight's guest, Dave Leake, for joining us tonight to present the program. Before we bring on Dave and get into tonight's program, did want to go over a few housekeeping items, promote some upcoming events, let you know what else is happening throughout Champaign County Forest Preserve District. So first and foremost, if you haven't done so already, down in the comments section below, let us know where you are watching from. Always love to see where folks are tuning in from during our virtual programs. Really great to reach all over the country, potentially all over the world with these virtual programs. Got Linda tuning in from Sugar Land, Texas. Tuba tuning in from Ontario, all the way from Canada. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Karen from North Texas. Will tuning in from west of Salem, Oregon. Harriet from Rockford, Illinois. I'm streaming live from Champaign, Illinois, in East Central Illinois, here in the United States. And really appreciate, again, everybody for tuning in tonight, and let us know where you are watching from by writing that down in the comments section below. Also, click that share button so you can share and watch alongside your friends tonight, so you can have as much fun as humanly possible. We have a nice crowd tonight. Also, should you have any questions during the program, write those questions down in the comment section, and towards the end of the program, we'll address those questions, see how many we can get to tonight. A little bit about us, if you don't know much about Champaign County Forest Preserve District, with our first park opening in 1948, the Champaign County Forest Preserve District is a local property tax supported government agency, as I mentioned, in East Central Illinois, where we have the pride and joy of stewardship of 7 forest preserves covering almost 4,000 acres in Champaign County, Illinois. Also, the Forest Preserve District is comprised of 2 educational facilities, the Museum of the Grand Prairie, where I primarily work, where my office is, and the Homer Lake Interpretive Center. We have Lake of the Woods Golf Course, a multi-purpose path known as the Kickapoo Rail Trail, and so much more at the Champaign County Forest Preserve District. So our aim is to protect Champaign County's natural and cultural resources and inspire people to care for, enjoy, and explore their natural world. Tonight's program is part of International Dark Sky Week, 2021 this year. Woo woo. It's put on and organized by the International Dark Sky Association, and International Dark Sky Week is full of events all over the world, drawing attention to one of our most precious natural resources here on planet Earth, the beautiful night sky, and also attracts attention in ways to help protect that beautiful natural resource. In 2018, one of Champaign County Forest Preserve's properties, the Middle Fork River Forest Preserve in the northeastern part of Champaign County near Penfield, received the distinction as the first and only dark sky park in the state of Illinois due to its beautiful dark skies and our community's dedication and appreciation for them. To also help celebrate Dark Sky Week, we put together a dark sky resource and activity guide full of information and activities for all ages, centered on the night sky. It can be found at our website at ccfbd.org, or at the link that I just pasted into the comments section. Go to that link for this Dark Sky resource and activity guide. As I mentioned, it's got a whole bunch of really great information about Middle Fork River Forest Preserve, International Dark Sky Association, and awesome children's activities as well. This event is also part of Champaign County Dark Sky Week. Throughout the week, we and other local community partners are putting on a variety of events and activities as part of Dark Sky Week. I encourage you to visit champaigncountydarkskyweek.org to learn more about what other awesome community partners have done and will continue to do for the rest of Champaign County Dark Sky Week. A few things coming up still this week in Champaign County Dark Sky Week. On Friday, April 9th, this Friday, April 9th, William M. Staerkel Planetarium will put on an online event titled Prairie Skies, which it will be a live narrated tour of the wonders of the current night sky in our Champaign-Urbana area right here in East Central Illinois. It'll also be accompanied by the legendary stories of the ancient sky. You can also learn and find out what constellations and planets are visible on Friday night and how to find them. William M. Staerkel Planetarium at Parkland College puts on this show regularly and is updated seasonally and is a show intended for all ages. So again, check out that virtual planetarium show on Friday, April 9th, titled Prairie Skies at 7 o'clock CDT. And that's put on by the William M. Staerkel Planetarium at Parkland College. Go to their website or their Facebook page to learn more about that particular event. You can also find out information at ChampaignCountyDarkSkyWeek.org. Sunday, April 11th is a new moon this Sunday. It's a great opportunity to get out and see a star-filled sky on what is hopefully a clear night. Also encouraging you to go out. We're also encouraging you to go lights out that night. Take a moment, turn off all outdoor lights for at least 1 hour, beginning at 8 p.m. Go lights out here with us in Champaign County to minimize your light pollution impact and enjoy the beautiful starry night sky again on what is hopefully a clear new moon night this Sunday, April 11th. For more about these programs and everything else happening with us at the Champaign County Forest Preserve District, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, or visit ccfpd.org. Again, want to encourage you to let us know where you are watching from tonight. Have some more folks writing down in the comment section tonight. Sarah tuning in from Urbana, Illinois. Janet tuning in from Southwest Champaign. Gabe tuning in from Urbana. Thank you so much. Jairo, greetings from Aruba in the Caribbean, here with the Space and Nature Aruba Foundation. So thank you so much for tuning in from Aruba, and apologies if I mispronounced your name, but thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And good friend Joe Robbins tuning in from right here in Central Illinois. Jessica also tuning in from Montana. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. I'm excited for you all to be here and get into tonight's program. Again, if you have any questions throughout tonight's program, write down in the comments section if you have any questions for us. And now I'm pleased to bring on Dave Leake. Dave, you there? Can you hear me?
I can. How you doing, Pat?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you. How you doing?
Doing all right. All right.
Good. Well, thank you, Dave, so much for joining us tonight. I'm going to shut up here pretty soon because you're the star of the show. But I want to introduce you all to Dave Leake, give a brief introduction to Dave, and then I'm going to turn the show over to him, and then we'll both come on at the end for some questions. So Dave Leake retired from Parkland College in 2019 after spending 30 years teaching physics and astronomy for the college and doing programs in the community at the William M. Staerkel Planetarium there at Parkland College. He now works part-time for the Champaign Media Group, hosting the Saturday morning show on WDWS, producing non-revenue Illinois sports, and doing some DJ work on WKIO. He is the founder and past president of the Champaign-Urbana Astronomical Society and a past president of the Great Lakes Planetarium Association, in addition to being a NASA Solar System ambassador. I also wanted to mention that Dave has been a great friend to us at the district, doing a number of things to help us, especially his work and efforts that he put into helping us get that Dark Sky Park designation at Middle Fork River Forest Preserve. Dave was a huge part of that, and we thank him so much for that. Great members of the community like Dave made that Dark Sky Park designation possible. And people like him are helping drastically protect, again, that great natural resource that is the night sky. So without further ado, let's give a warm virtual welcome to Dave. Yeah, give it up for Dave.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'll admit I'm freaked out a little bit that I figured we have a lot of people here locally, but goodness, with Texas and Ontario and Aruba, that's fantastic. Montana, I think I heard. So thanks for all of you for tuning in. I do have some local examples of lighting I'm going to show you, but which you're not going to recognize. if you live out of town, but you'll have your own examples there where you live. So what I'll probably do is go ahead and share this screen, and let's see,
There it is.
there we go. All right. Are we
All
good?
right, beautiful.
Okay. All right. Well, this is better anyway, so you can look at the sky. You don't have to look at me. It is, as Pat said, International Dark Sky Week, and this was created in 2003 to raise awareness of the beautiful night sky that we have overhead, but also raise awareness of the fact that a lot of us can't see it. And that's sort of one of the things we want to talk about tonight. There's two ways to celebrate Dark Sky Week, and again, we're going to talk about both of them. This is something that I am very passionate about. I do have a lot of images to show you, but I'm going to do them very quickly, so I guess you have to pay attention. And again, a lot of the examples here are local examples. So what I like to do when I start out talking about this is showing this. Of course, we won't see this yet. Usually maybe July and August here in Central Illinois, we have people watering their lawns like that, but you don't see this very often. And that's somebody watering the street. In fact, when I took this picture, I got several really strange looks from people, especially that SUV that's sitting there across the street. And I always ask my class when I taught it, it's like, what's wrong with this? Well, you're wasting water. And that's true. It is a tremendous waste of resources to water the street. However, we do the exact same thing with our lights all the time and really don't give it a second thought. As you see this picture from space, and this is of the Midwest, you can see Lake Michigan there. In fact, of all the little towns, you can actually even trace out all the highways, the roads between the towns there in central Illinois. So really, we want to talk about something called light pollution. And I give you just, if you want a definition, I'll give one to you. It's excessive or inappropriate outdoor lighting. And I'm going to give you examples of the four kinds of light pollution. There's glare, sky glow, light trespass, and light clutter. Most of the problem that we have really comes from streetlights. Not all the problems, but a lot of the problems comes from the streetlights, and it really has to do more with the streetlight fixtures and the types of light that they have. So notice here, when you have light shining into windows, you have light trespass. I don't know if you can see my cursor there. There's light trespass. Any light that's directed upward or reflected upward is going to give us sky glow. Any light that shines into your eyes, of course, gives you glare. So glare is really the problem.
Hey, Dave,
Yes.
1 sec. There's a bar over the top of your PowerPoint screen that says you are sharing your screen. Can you click that minute? There we go. Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't know you could see that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I apologize. Yeah, glare is when we shine light into your eyes, and nobody likes this. I mean, think about it. When a car comes towards you with their brights on, what do? Most of us will probably flash our brights at them because we don't like light shining into our eyes. I mean, that's why car tail lights are red, is because our eyes are not as sensitive to red light. If you have kids that are watching, you're getting up in the morning and mom comes in and flips on your bedroom light, says you have to get up. Nobody likes that. So we have glare, and we want to try to reduce glare. So what I'm going to do here quickly, if I can, is stop sharing so you can see me again. And I have my little light here. So here's glare. Nobody likes that. In fact, wait a minute. I'll put my sunglasses on. So we have glare here, and we have a lot of our light fixtures are doing that. But if you turn your light fixture down like this, okay, notice you're not seeing the light bulb now. And I'm using a metal reflector, and most of the light's now reflecting downward. I'm going to show you here that if we put a reflector on and shine the light downward, you can use a lower wattage bulb in here and get the same illumination on the ground. Now, all of a sudden, you're saving money. So even if you don't care about the sky at all, I hope that's not the case, but even if you don't, you can save money by using reflectors and shining your light down, because most of us, the things that we want to light up are on towards the ground anyway. There's a pathway, a sidewalk, a driveway. There's really no need to shine the light up like this. And if you shine it sideways, then you're getting glare. So here, let's put that back, because to be honest with you, that's pretty annoying. So let's go back to this. And I hope you're seeing a black screen right now.
Perfect, Dave. Yep.
Okay, good. And then I won't be jumping off anymore. So think about glare. Think about light shining sideways and into people's eyes. There's a lot of businesses that have what are called wall pack lights. And if you live in town here, this is a business down on Neal Street. You see this a lot of times in parking lots. And again, it does light up the parking lot, but it also shines light horizontally into your eyes. Apartment complexes like to use these wall pack lights quite a bit. The problem is since they shine light sideways, then you have this. This is, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, this used to be my son's apartment. And he had a job that meant that he had to try to sleep through this. And he had to go out and buy different shades because basically his entire room was lit up. All of this together creates sky glow. That's another kind of light pollution. This is our observatory, our Champaign-Urbana Astronomical Society Observatory that's southwest of town along Rising Road. And if you look towards the northeast, you're looking back towards Champaign, and you can see this light dome that is above the cities. That's sky glow. And basically, we can't look at anything in the northeast. We just don't even try. Light clutter is just an overuse of light. I mean, using light's fine, but it's sort of overkill. And some of you, I know we have a few in Urbana, I bet you recognize this car lot because it's up there just north of 74. And granted, car lots want their cars to be seen, but they got a little bit too much light going on here. And again, a lot of this light reflects upwards. So we're not saying get rid of lights. I don't want people thinking, well, you know, this dumb guy wants us just to get rid of all of our lights. If you're not using them, yes, you could do that. But really, think about the kind of light you're using. What type of light source are you using? You know, what is actually screwed into the light? What about the light fixture? Is the light directed in a specific spot? And also, when is the light used? Are you using it from dusk to dawn? Does it need to be on all night? Maybe so, but that's something to think about. So here's our light fixtures. And the one on the left, of course, is just shining light every which way. Think about the light that shines upward. You're still paying for that. And you're not really using it at all. You're really only using the light that is coming down and hitting the ground. So the best fixtures, as you can see, are the far right and gives you the least amount of glare. And they're called full cutoff fixtures. We're going to show you some examples of those in just a bit. As far as the very bad lights on the left, I might get myself in trouble here because I know people are passionate about this. This is Pennsylvania Avenue in Urbana. And we have some of these globe lights in Champaign as well. And people love these lights. And granted, they're very picturesque. They're beautiful. And they're very historical too. But if you think about it, you're shining light upwards and you're shining also light sideways directly into the eyes of the drivers that are going down the streets. I've noticed in some of the globe lights in Champaign that through the day, they look just normal, but they put reflectors in the inside the globes at the top to shine the light down. So again, you just be careful shining light sideways because somebody's got to drive down your street and may be blinded by these lights. We see this a lot also in billboard lights. A lot of billboards are lit from the bottom. The picture at left I borrowed, but the one at right is along Interstate 74 heading towards Bloomington. And as you can see here, maybe 20% of the light or so is actually hitting the billboard. And although you can't see it here, there's a shaft of light that extends up into the sky. And again, it's all extremely wasteful. When you shine light either upwards or sideways, we talked about glare. This is in Southwest Champaign. And granted, this is after a rain, so the streets are wet. But this light is on the other side of an intersection, and look at how it's shining light into my eyes. Those of you that live locally, and maybe others, will notice this too, but especially here in town, when the streets get wet and you have the glare from these street lights and other headlights, it's very difficult to see lane markings sometimes. And I've found myself in situations where I don't even really know what lane I'm supposed to be in. Here is also some wall pack lights along, this is Countryside School before they put the addition on the school. And there's a wall pack light, if you can, I don't know if you can see my cursor a lot, but right around in there. And that's above a door. But it's just that the light is so bright that, again, somebody could be standing at the door and you would probably never see them, because if a light is so bright, you're not going to be looking at it. So, which raises an interesting question. If that's put above the door, then it's put there for security. And I've heard people say, no, I'm not shutting my lights off because I want to be safe. Well, think about this example. And if you live locally, I've used this example before many times. But this is a picture of a house I used to live in. So if this seems a little creepy, yeah, it used to be my house. And it has a kind of an L-shaped porch. We don't have street lights on this particular street. And true story, I got into a discussion, not an argument, but a discussion with my dad, who said, well, you turn your porch light on at night, don't you? And I said, no. And he says, really? Why not? Well, what I want you to see here, if you can see, there's a basket there in the middle, and then there is a flagpole above it. When I turn my porch light on, notice the hard shadow that is created extending out from the house. If somebody drives by my house, they're going to see that lighted porch, but the hard shadow, there's a big contrast between light and dark there. That's actually my son's window, or at least it used to be. That's right there in the hard shadow. Somebody could be standing right outside my son's window and nobody would ever see them because their attention is drawn to the light. So again, what my point is, yes, it's okay to use lights, but use the right light. Some people just put up lights and just say, there, I've got security. And you may not. In fact, you may be making your house less safe. This house, I hope this has been fixed, but this used to be in North Champaign. And I'm not sure who lives here, but this light is so bright. First off, it creates lens flare in the camera. That's what that is to the lower right. And I don't know if you can see, but there is a front door and a walk going up to it. But when you drive by this house, your attention is either drawn to the light or it's so darn bright, you may just turn away from it completely. It's not really doing its job as a security light. Here, when you look at this picture, hopefully your attention, the first thing you saw when this came up was of the light, because that's usually what people see is of the light. Did you see the person that was hiding behind the van? Probably not, because they were hiding in a shadow. So again, lights is good, but lights create shadows. And what you want to do is you want to make what you're lighting up the main attraction. You want that to be the center of the attention and not the lighting source itself. Same example here. Here you see a bright light and that is the center of attention. But if we cover it up, did you see the person that was standing at the gate? You may not have, because your attention was drawn toward the light. An example that's a little closer to me is this. I don't want to tell on them, but this was my neighbor, and they put up a light, and you see it there on the right. But notice what they do when the lights come on. Two things, actually. One is it creates this hard shadow in front of their sliding glass door. I actually took a picture of this and showed it to my neighbor, and he moved the light because he's creating a hard shadow. He's creating a spot where a criminal can hide. The other thing that this is doing, given the lights directed upwards, is this is a picture of the side of my house and on west side of Champaign. And notice it's lighting up a second floor window. So this is light trespass. And again, the light has been directed downwards. So again, the point is, don't just put up a light and say, I'm done. Really give some thought as to how bright the light is and where it's directed. Because if you go inside, I think I took this picture like about 1 o'clock in the morning, and you can read a book inside. We had to buy room darkening blinds just so people could get to sleep, which is really kind of a shame. This picture is not local, but it's put out by the Dark Sky people, and it's a picture of a factory. And to the left, out of the frame, is a park. Now, this picture was also taken at about 2 a.m. Now, granted, you might have some folks that you want to keep an eye on in a park, but look how bright everything is. It's a little bit of overkill. In fact, it's so bright that if you look on the far left, the street light is not even on. It thinks it's daytime. And we're also lighting up the top of the factory as well. Again, it's not very well designed lighting. It's okay to have lights, but just look at where you're directing the light. We have a lot of waste here. In fact, this was put out by the Department of Energy, and there is a lot of waste. Everybody's different, but it's on average, your monthly electric bill, about 13% of it goes to outdoor lighting. Some of us, like in where I live, I'm required to have a yard light on at night. So of course I use a very low wattage bulb, and it is shielded. It doesn't shine any light upwards. But 35% of the light we have outside, and again it varies from house to house, is poorly aimed. It's wasted light. If you look up the average cost of electricity, we're wasting about $3 billion a year just in energy that's being directed where we don't need it. Now, again, if you talk about water, a lot more people are conscious about that, but we don't think about light. And that's what I'm trying to get people to think about. So what do we do? And there are some things that we can do. I have a little checklist for you here. Okay. And this is also, I talked about the 2 ways to celebrate Dark Sky Week. Well, here's way number 1, and that's to evaluate your own home or business. All I'm asking you to do is, not saying make wholesale changes, go outside and look at your house or your business at night. Light only what you need to light. Do you have to light up all the trees? I don't know. Some people like to do that. But look at pathways. Where can people hide at night? Keep in mind that most crime happens, not all, but a lot of crime happens during full moon. Why is that? It's not because of the moon. Let's not get into that. Because the moon goes over once a day, just at different times. But it has to do with the light, So criminals use the light. So we need to use the right light. Use energy efficient bulbs. A lot of people are going to LED. I got more about LEDs coming up here in just a bit. Very few people now are using mercury vapor bulbs. They are very, very inefficient. That means the amount of energy you put in, electricity, you get very, very little light in return. Don't use a brighter bulb than you need to. Where I live, there's a few houses down, and then there's a lake. There's a house across the lake that when they turn their backlight on, literally you would think that the sun was coming up. I mean, it is bright. It is it's overkill. There's really no need to have a light that bright. Shield existing lights and have them pointing downwards. Again, anything shining above the horizontal is wasted light. Only use the light when you need them. If you don't need the light on all night, maybe put it on a timer so it shuts off, or put it on a motion sensor. Choose warm light sources that are kind of yellowish. I'll get to why that is here in just a second. And main thing really is, especially during Dark Sky Week, talk about it. Talk about, you've heard this talk, and if you see like I saw my neighbor had a big shadow in front of his sliding glass door. I didn't say, hey, you can be cordial about it, but just say, I noticed something, and he actually very much appreciated it. So there are a number of things here that you can do. There's the timers and the full cutoff fixtures that can improve your lighting situation. Here's what cutoff fixtures will do, is shine the light downwards. If you look on the left, there is a light fixture there, but notice how the focus is not on the light source. The focus is on what you're trying to light up. That's the main thing. Here in Champaign-Urbana, we have a lot of these light sources. On the left is the parking lot of a church in town. Again, if you live locally, the Mettler Center is there on the lower right. Notice the nice dark sky that's above it, and the lights are actually shining down. This is out near or on the way to Savoy, and it's, it may look like, oh my goodness, things are lit up. But look at the kind of the cones from the parking lot lights. Everything's shining downwards, just as it should be. In fact, it may be hard to see, but there's actually a planet in the sky up here that you can see. This is in Champaign. It's called the Clark Park area. And when Champaign started going to full cutoff fixtures, this was really the first area that got it. Now, this took a little criticism because it was different. But if you check it out, yes, the light that's close there, since I'm not quite underneath it, you can see the source there. But look at all the other ones. They're lighting up the street. We're not lighting up anyone's houses. We're not shining light into anyone's windows. The street lights are doing the job that they are supposed to do, and they're not shining in the driver's eyes. And even homes such as this, notice here the light is not shining out into the street, but we're lighting up what we need to light up. Same with this house. This one, it's not quite dark yet, but notice how all the fixtures are full cutoff. Perfectly fine to have lights on your house, but just think twice about wanting to shine them out towards the street. Here we have a kind of a storage area here. This is out in Southwest Champaign, and you might look at this and go, oh, that's horrible, but it's all lit up. This is actually really well done. It's a little brighter than it seems, maybe because of the exposure of the camera that I used. But here's the rule, and I've mentioned it once already. The main focus should be what you're trying to illuminate and not the light source. So notice here, how what we're trying to see underneath that blind, or the overhang there. You can't see the light sources, but you can see what we're trying to light up. That is the main thing. So keep that in mind. Now, I don't know if these lights are on all night, but this is actually from my back porch. I've got a motion sensor light back there. And what's good with this is if somebody or something wanders into my backyard, I don't have to be watching the backyard the whole time. I can tell when the lights go on, and then I look out to see if anybody's there. Now, a lot of our light pollution comes from sports lighting, and there also are solutions to that. Those of you that live here locally, I actually took this picture from an airplane, and the bright area here, that's Dodds Park, and Parkland College is right here. This is Bradley Avenue. A lot of people talk about Parkland. Parkland's actually got some very nice full cutoff fixtures in its parking lots. I might, have a discussion with the physical plant director of why are we lighting up all the parking lots, all the way till when the sun comes up. You might want to light some of them, but anyway, notice how you can see the lots, but you can't see the fixtures. Now the softball lights there, those are even different now. The Champaign Park District put in some full cutoff fixtures for softball. And I deliberately took this on a night that was somewhat foggy because I wanted you to be able to see the light beams. So the fields are very well lit, but notice how everything's shining downwards. Now, when the university football team's practicing, you can see those lights from just about all over town. But again, we're doing them little by little here. As far as Parkland goes, once again, I took this on kind of a foggy night, but notice a little bit in the distance, you can see a sidewalk. And there is a nice full cutoff fixture right over here. You can't see the light source, but the walk itself is very, very well lit. So light the paths and don't make the light source the center of attention. Now, as far as the types of lights, I don't want to throw a lot of figures at you, but lights come in different colors. And as you can see, incandescent light bulbs, with the filaments are kind of yellowish, but they are horrible. Look at it says luminous effectiveness. That means for every watt of electricity, you're only getting 8 lumens of light. 95% of an incandescent light, the energy goes into heat. You put your hands around a light bulb, and of course, you can actually feel the heat. You don't want to touch a light bulb that's been on. Mercury vapor is also very bad. You see some of these as dusk to dawn lights out in the country, but they're starting to go away. Metal halide, we're going to get into what that is here in just a little bit. But low pressure sodium used to be, they're really the ugly yellowish lights, But if all you're doing is lighting up a parking lot, it doesn't, what does it matter if it has to be, if it's yellow? But notice that they're very, very efficient for the energy you put into them. You get a lot of light out. And then, of course, you've got the LEDs there too. Now, I don't want to throw in a lot of physics at you, but you've probably seen a rainbow before. Or maybe you've seen, if you pass light through a prism, then you get the different colors. Or maybe you're just a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon fan. Then you've seen the prism there too. So here are the different colors, and the little zigzag line here shows for a metal halide lamp, how much yellow light do we get? How much green light do we get? And notice it runs across the full set of colors. Well, if you put all the colors together, it looks white. These are the kind of lamps you want to put in your baseball stadiums and your basketball facilities, because you televise games. So you want to have white light because you want a red uniform to look red. That makes perfect sense. If you're just doing a parking lot, not many people televise parking lots, but here's a low pressure sodium. And low pressure sodium is really just one little bit of yellow, and that's it. Now, the good thing about this, you see these lights a lot like in Tucson, Arizona, because you can filter that light. So astronomers that build observatories next to low pressure sodium can filter out just that little bit of light there, and that works out really well. So what about LEDs? LEDs look a little bit like this. You can have white LEDs, and that's because they give you some red, give you all the different colors. However, here's the problem right here. LEDs, unless they're called warm LEDs, give off a lot of blue light. Now, we haven't had commercial LEDs to put in light fixtures for all that long. So we're just now finding out that blue light is not good for you. If you have, maybe you've heard this before, you probably shouldn't be using your phone as you go to sleep. Now, I'll admit I'm guilty of that. I will sometimes do that. But your phone, your iPad, those computer screens give a lot of bluish light. Blue light, we're finding, is not very good for you. So, I mean, sure, you can look at your phone, but if all you're looking at is your phone in a dark room, there's a lot of things you can see written in blue there that are really not all that good. In fact, wildlife in general is affected by light pollution. You have bats. Bats eat insects. Insects fly around lights, as you've seen at like football games. But the bats won't go near the lights. So that can be a problem for bats. The little mess that's off to the right are birds that someone has gone around tall buildings and just picked up, because migrating birds get really confused by the lights on the skyscrapers. In fact, maybe you've seen, there's starting to be a lot more awareness of this. Thank goodness the Audubon Society is doing a lot with this. And there are times when birds are migrating, they're actually asking buildings to turn their lights off, maybe just for a couple of weeks. And then, of course, you got sea turtles. Now, here in central Illinois, we don't worry too much about sea turtles. But when sea turtles lay their eggs on the shore and they hatch and the little baby turtles come out, they use the light of the stars glinting off the ocean to know which way to go. So if it's dark, there's the path of the baby sea turtles. And notice how they head for the ocean, although this one down here is a little confused, I think. But if you have lights, if you have light pollution, look what happens. Some of them head towards the lights, and of course, they quickly die off this way. So, and this is at two different spots. So even though we don't worry too much about sea turtles here in the Midwest, if you live on the coast, they really have to watch how they do lights. Even plants are affected by lights. They've done studies of this here in Illinois as like IDOT people. In fact, I will do this. Let me show you this picture of an interstate highway and see if you look at the field where the lights are. I mean, look how you can just sort of pick them out. And so it really affects the plants too. And as we've said, it really affects people. Now, this might, some of the things on the left here might surprise you, but this all has to do with melatonin. As it says here, it's a hormone that regulates sleep and wakefulness. And your body releases melatonin in darkness. If you don't get the darkness, it's a problem. In fact, many studies are just now coming out. This is from the National Institute of Health. I don't expect everybody to read this, but what it says right here in the middle, there's a statistically significant correlation between outdoor artificial lighting at night and breast cancer. There's a higher rate of cancer in people that work third shift jobs because they're sleeping through the day and they're not getting the darkness that they need. So it isn't intent to scare anybody, but just remember your body needs darkness. So if you had like one of my son's apartment, if you have that light shining in your bedroom window, you got to cover that up. Either you got to buy room darkening blinds or something. And the problem is, or the issue is, the problem isn't getting any better. This is actually from the Defense Department, I think. So this is Champaign-Urbana and Champaign County, and we're going to zoom ahead about 5 years and look what happens to the lights. So we'll do a little instant replay here, and you can see how things are getting brighter. So really, what we want to do is not have this, where you can just, there's sky glow, there's glare. This was done during a blackout. You want this, and the house in the middle evidently has a generator. One of the things I miss about my job is that you can, we take Parkland students out in the country with a telescope to show them some things. And if we have students that came down from Chicago, and there's quite a few of those at Parkland, and when they get out of the car, they've never seen that before. I have a daughter that lives in Chicago. She might see 4, 5, 6 stars in her sky. But then you get down here and they are just completely amazed, which leads us very quickly to the second way that we can celebrate Dark Sky Week, and that's to actually get out and see it. As Pat said, the sky is a resource. It's like protecting the Grand Canyon, except it's above our heads. And that's why the International Dark Sky Association, which was created in 1988 to protect and preserve the night sky, came out with a Dark Sky Places program in 2001. And these are not places, they don't even necessarily have to be all that dark, but it's just that they value the night sky. And as Pat mentioned, we have the first and only International Dark Sky Park in the state of Illinois, right here in Champaign County. Now you might think, well, is the Middle Fork as dark as the Grand Canyon? Well, of course not. That's why they have like gold, silver, and bronze designations. But it's not so much, I mean, yes, we have a very good sky, but it's the fact that they've taken measures to preserve this sky. And going all the way back to 2009, our CU Astronomical Society has been doing programs at the Middle Fork, given how dark it is. And if you're wondering why go to the Middle Fork, we've actually measured it. You can buy something, it's about $130 off Amazon, and it's called a sky quality meter. You hold it out in front of you, point it up, and it gives you a reading. And won't get into what the units are or anything. It's listed there, magnitudes per square arc second. We're not going to worry about that right now. But you can actually measure this. So here is Chicago's at the upper right, and St. Louis is kind of towards the lower left there. And you see some sky quality meter readings here. And the Middle Fork is actually listed on there too. You can also go to lightpollutionmap.info and find your spot too. You can see if there's a dark spot next to you. So we approached the Champaign County Forest Preserve District and said, hey, what about this? And they bought into it. It was absolutely wonderful. So here are some county readings here. You've got Decatur on the left, here's Champaign, here's the Middle Fork up here, and everywhere you see a thumbtack is where John Stone, one of our members, actually went around and measured some of this stuff. So the sky from the Middle Fork, see, you still have some glow around the horizon, but you've got the beautiful Milky Way overhead. And the way to preserve that is the light fixtures. So the people at the Middle Fork, Matt Kunz, who's the site superintendent, and his staff did a wonderful job. Notice the before and after. You have the globe light, shining light every which way. The light's still there. It's just shining down where it's supposed to be. Same here with the activity center. On the front entrance, you had light shining every which way, and now you have a recessed light. So the entrance is still lit, it's just not shining upwards. They removed 7 fixtures, and 14 of the 18 building lights were actually upgraded. And one of the issues at the Middle Fork, goes all the way back to 1980 when they had these globe lights there. And Matt, thank goodness, was very happy to get rid of these things. And I love to tell this story that they went to a conference at the St. Louis Zoo and saw some lights that they liked, but they found out how expensive they were. So they came back and they built their own. They weather tested them. I think it was in the summer of 2017. And then they started to put them in. So they built these themselves. They're LED light fixtures. Notice they're full cutoff and they shine down. So they replaced 17 of those globe lights. By the dark sky park statutes, they had 5 years to phase this in. They did it all in one. And there's what it looks like at night. And we are lighting up the roadway, but notice there is some reflected light up in the trees, but some of that has to do with the exposure of the camera too. So at Thanksgiving of 2018, we got the designation, and it's relatively rare. Here's what we've got in the Midwest. And again, some of you are in different areas. You can look this up on the darksky.org website and find out if there's a park near you. There's 96 dark sky parks now. In fact, that number, I think Virginia just got 2 of them. That was announced yesterday. So that may be up to 98, but 69 of them are in the United States. And this is what we call the Big Ten area. Now, if you're thinking, wait a minute, what's Homer Glen and Beverly Shores? Those are dark sky communities. Those are communities that have put in lighting ordinances and have applied and have gotten the designation as a community. And the rest of them are dark sky parks. Now, you can't just rest on your laurels after you get dark sky park status. The Champaign County Forest Preserve District put up a lot of interpretive signs so people know what to look for. And they also hand things to the campers. They've got handouts. And so it's an education process. There's actually even something called astrotourism now, believe it or not. And when I say that to people, sometimes they laugh at that, but they used to laugh at agritourism. And now at the University of Illinois here in town, that is a huge business. We have people coming from China just to look at some of the fields here. So agritourism is now big business, and astrotourism is starting to do the same thing. We've had people come from the west side of Chicago and the north side of Indianapolis. They come to the Middle Fork just so they can see the skies. And of course, if they don't camp, there is a campground at the Middle Fork. But if they don't camp, then you're staying at the nearby towns, and now you're affecting tourism there too. So again, one of the things is to go out and actually look. And we tell kids, especially, if there's any kids watching, you could go to this website. It's called globeatnight.org. And during these dates, and the only thing about the dates is that it's during new moon, so the moon's not lighting up the sky. But you can use star charts on this website and match up the star chart to the sky that you're seeing. You know, is there a lot of stars? Is there just a few? And you come up with a number, and then you go out into the country and do a comparison. How much darker is it maybe a mile away? And you can do this using the charts at Globe at Night. One of the things Pat mentioned was this is the first year the Forest Preserve has done a dark sky resource and activity guide. And I helped to write a little bit of this, but they've done a masterful job of not only educating people through this, but there's also activities for the kids too. So as Pat said, you can get these free. All you have to do is print them out from the website at ccfpd.org. But then I believe they're going to try to have hard copies at Homer Lake, the Middle Fork, and at the Museum of the Grand Prairie. It's about 20 pages, and it's a very, very cool thing to have. Our Astro Club, this is our observatory southwest of town. And again, with COVID, we haven't had any public open houses in a while, but we hope to resume those in the fall. If you live outside of Illinois, check for your local Astro Club. They may have a lot of public stuff that they do. And really, you want to get out and see the sky. It's a beautiful thing to see. In fact, here's a picture I took. This is completely unprocessed. Some of the pictures are processed, but this is of the Middle Fork, and it's unprocessed. And you can see the star clouds of the Milky Way there. That's your home galaxy. Very few people see this. It is estimated, because of the light pollution and the population centers, 80% of people have not seen the Milky Way. That is tragic, just tragic. So again, number one, evaluate your home. Doesn't mean you have to turn off all the lights, but look at, are you creating shadow somewhere? Even if you don't care about the sky, it's, for your safety, for your energy bill, it's a good thing to do a little evaluation, but then actually get out and see the sky, because it's a wonderful thing to look up and check it out, and it's absolutely free. And with that, I thank you for your time. I thank you for looking in. I believe Pat's going to probably come back in here, and I'm going to pop out of this and stop sharing my screen. And I believe we're back to where we were. And if anybody has any questions, I'll do my best. Or
Yeah, no, that was great, Dave. Provided so much information. It makes me think of, when I go take a walk outdoors, at night tonight, just to kind of take a look around the neighborhood in a little bit different light, looking for where the lights are casting shadows, what types of lights they are, and evaluate the lights on my own home. Really, really appreciate all the info, and especially look at the gorgeous pictures, there towards the end of, what we could be missing out on, or what we are missing out on, in a good portion of civilization here. So really, really appreciate that. As Dave mentioned, write your questions down in the comment section below. Had a few things coming in already, Dave. I think you already addressed this question. Are different colors of light better than others, from Kara? You mentioned, the blue light not being so great for human health and other things, but I'm seeing a lot of other questions and comments as well. For example, all related to like one issue. Sheila is saying, in Chicago, I wish we could get the city on board with these practices. Jan is saying, I moved to the small town of Montverde, Florida, 15 years ago, slowly losing our dark sky due to new housing developments, big car dealerships off in the distance. What's the best type of lighting for new developments? I go to most town meetings. Is there anything that I can recommend? And Tuba from, I believe, up in Canada said, we have the first light pollution bylaw in Canada here in Richmond Hill since '95. And one more thing, Dave, before I ask you a question. Susan saying, hi, Dave, good to see you. They live in a dark community. First week out there, left the lights on at the end of our drive, and a neighbor left a note saying that we're in a dark sky area and need to have unless we actually need them. So, Dave, we have this dark sky park designation, thankfully, in our community here in Champaign County, and I know that there's dark sky communities, as you mentioned. There's one here in Illinois, in Homer Glen, and in other places. But similar to a question that Jamal's asking here, do you have any recommendations and things we could do to convince our communities to take hold of this major light pollution issue?
Yeah, well, and you addressed a few things there. I know I believe it was Sheila in Chicago, if she's still on there. Believe it or not, I mean, Chicago is a big city, obviously, but they're actually doing some drone studies and looking at lights from drone studies. In fact, one of their drones, I think, crashed into Lake Michigan. But they are doing something in Chicago. And it's not going to happen overnight, obviously. But believe it or not, they are doing something. And then as far as subdivisions go, again, just lights that shine downward, and I'm not saying use the lowest wattage possible, but you don't need to put a 300 watt light bulb into something if you're just lighting a small area. So, use the lowest wattage that still gives you what you need. As far as what to do, I know one of the things I did was, now this is all before COVID, that's changed things, but because everybody's meeting virtually now, I went and talked to our Champaign City Council. And the one thing is, you don't want to just go in there with guns blazing and say, hey, you got to do this. But you have to show them, like, hey, you can save some money this way. I may not get this right, but I believe it's Calgary in Canada replaced 42,000 streetlights and put in full cutoff fixtures, and then used lower wattage bulbs. and I don't remember the exact time frame, but they paid for themselves in like 7 or 8 years. So yeah, it's an economic thing. I know when I talk to people, I don't say, hey, we astronomers want to look at the sky, so you should turn your lights off. Nobody wants to listen to that. But if you show them the safety, show them the savings, the economic savings, and the glare issue, the not only safety from crime, but safety from driving, then people start to listen a little bit. And there's a number of things on the International Dark Sky Association website, darksky.org, and look at some of the pull down menus. And there's some really good stuff. They're like how to talk to a neighbor. And I had to laugh when Susan was up there. Yeah, I worked with her and her husband. Her husband used to be at Parkland. So welcome to a dark sky community, Susan and John. That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah. Hyro in Aruba had a similar question, but you brought up those great points there at the end. I think, people's health seems when you bring in the impact on human health and the economic impact, and then of course the science behind it all, combining all of those together and getting a good community-wide effort, is good, because at the County Forest Preserve District, as you mentioned, it involved, quite a few partners at the district. You and the Astronomical Society played a huge role in helping get that designation, and various other community support and community sponsors. It takes a village, to get behind this initiative. So if you're out there and you're interested in making your community or your local park or anything like that get an international dark sky designation, or at the very least, just try to curb a little bit of light pollution. As Dave mentioned, there's tons of resources out there, really great resources at darksky.org by the Dark Skies.
This is a little, I won't say it's underhanded, because there's nothing underhanded about it, but it's an interesting way to do it. Is if you have an astronomy club, invite maybe a member or two. Like let's just say I would get a telescope outside in my yard and say, hey, you want to come look at Jupiter? And invite my neighbor that has a light that's shining into my yard. And while they're looking at Jupiter, you don't need to say anything. They'll go, well, my light's kind of bothering you, isn't it? And it's like, well, yeah. Well, maybe I can tilt it downwards. See, it's all reverse psychology or something.
That's right. Hey, you work on one neighbor, and then your other neighbor works on another neighbor, and soon enough, the whole community is getting behind it. So little impacts, a ton of little impacts can make a really big impact. Any other questions? Feel free to bring those in. Got a few other comments coming in.
Yeah, tell Andy that's a Lego Saturn V. That's right.
Which Apollo model do you have on your bookshelf? Yeah,
that's the Lego one.
Okay. Tuba saying again, she said high pressure sodium almost as good and a lot less complaints about the lack of color recognition compared to low pressure sodium. Looking at those the color of lights again.
It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. You actually, she's right. The high pressure sodium are more white lights where you get a good color rendition, but they are not as efficient as the low pressure sodium. So you're right. It's a trade-off. Mercury vapor has got a lot of that blue purplish light in it. And me personally, I can't even look at them. They just start doing things to my eyes. And but you don't find too many people selling those. There are some companies now. I won't give any plugs to any local lumber yards, but sometimes they have dark sky friendly lighting.
Well, Dave, I want to thank you again so much for such a good presentation. And we're getting some comments that I wanted to share with you as well. Linda saying wonderful presentation.
Thank you,
Sheila from Chicago, thank you. Very informative. Karen, thank you. Great job. Linda again saying, I haven't seen the Milky Way in a very long time. Hope you can.
Summer's the best time.
Yeah, Linda, hope you can see that See that soon. Lots of info, Dave. Thank you from Jan. Hyro from Aruba. Again, thanks for tuning in all the way from the Caribbean. I kind of wish I was in Aruba right now, but I'll take some nice spring weather in Central Illinois. Janet says, thank you. Leal School misses you at Parkland.
Oh, bless you at Leal School.
Tuba, thank you for the great presentation. Thanks for the comments and questions too, and great to know that you've been in a dark sky community since '95. That community has been there. Mary Ellen, we know Mary Ellen. Great presentation, Dave and Pat. Thanks for tuning in, Mary Ellen.
Thanks, Mary Ellen.
Yeah, and I think best comment of the night goes to Robert Fiedler. Cool shirts too. Look at our shirts. Dave has his Middle Fork River Forest Preserve Dark Sky shirt on, and I've got this special.
Yeah, Pat's is cooler.
Just
if you live locally, May 1st, the shop opens at the Middle Fork, and they have some of these for sale. So there. I don't know if Pat can plug it, but I can say it. So
that works. Again, thank you, Dave. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you have, if you're still interested, again, look at all those resources that Dave shared. Check out that Dark Sky resource and activity guide that the Champaign County Forest Preserve District just put out. Go outside, take a look up, at nighttime. Here in Central Illinois, I think we've got a mostly clear evening. Maybe you can see a handful of stars since we're pretty close to a new moon. Wherever you may be, whether it's in Central Illinois or across the country or across the world. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, Dave, again, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care,
everybody.